In the Heart of the Word. Reflections by Father Joseph Mary, SCTJM, on the daily readings from the Holy Mass. Feast of St. Mark, Evangelist. Thursday of the fourth week of Easter. A triumph of the merciful love of Christ.
God bless you, dear family. Today in the Heart of the Word, we celebrate the Feast of St. Mark, and we celebrate one of the great triumphs of mercy in the life of the early church. The fathers of the church identify John Mark, known as Mark in Acts of the Apostles, as Mark the Evangelist. Mark came from a devout Christian family and was a cousin of St. Barnabas. Mark accompanied St. Paul and Barnabas on the first missionary journey to the Gentiles, and he deserted them. Mark's decision was so radical that St. Paul refused to allow Mark to serve with him again on the next two missionary journeys. Barnabas, though, took Mark on another mission back to the place where Mark had abandoned them. When we next learn of Mark, it's in Paul's letter to Philemon and then his letter to the Colossians, where Mark is with Paul while he is in prison, likely in Ephesus and in Rome, respectively. Then in 2 Timothy chapter 4, verse 11, Paul requests Mark's presence in Rome, where Paul is in prison again, now preparing for martyrdom. Lastly, in 1 Peter 5:13, Peter sends greetings from the church in Rome and from Mark, my son, Peter's spiritual son. What happened to Mark so that he became the trusted collaborator of Paul and even the spiritual son or secretary of Peter? Mark was reconciled with the truth of God's will for his life. He sought forgiveness for what he had done and was able not only to return to be a missionary, but to accompany Peter and Paul in Rome in the most difficult moment in the life of the early church. And he was commissioned to write the first gospel, the gospel according to Mark, based on Peter's eyewitness testimony. Mark is a triumph of the merciful love of Christ. He is a living gospel. My brothers and sisters, it's never too late to return to the Lord, and nothing is impossible for the merciful love of God. Like St. Mark, we need to seek forgiveness and to walk the road of reparation and responsibility, trusting that the Lord can make all things new. He can even make a deserter of the missions into one of the greatest and most trusted missionaries of all time, whose gospel is proclaimed to the ends of the earth and who continues to proclaim Christ even to us today. And that is good news. Let us listen to these words of Mother Adela. The love of Jesus is redemptive. In other words, it frees us from the snares of the devil, sin, and death. It is a love that is not content with leaving us in our misery, but that desires to elevate us to the dignity of being sons and daughters of God, witnesses of the gospel. All for the heart of Jesus, through the heart of Mary. Alleluia.